Good evening. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Marisol Colquitt, author of Finding True Love Through Online Dating, a Christian Woman's Guide, available on Amazon, eBay, as well as my website, www.marisolcolquitt.com. I know I always talk a lot, so I'm just gonna go right ahead and pick up on where I left off last week. If you're new to my channel, please check out my previous videos so you can catch up. We're on chapter 4, Debunking the Myth Is Online Dating a Sin, and we're on page 25. I do remember wanting to avoid the couple for good, but I knew I could not, at least not yet. I wanted to say so many ugly things, but I chose to bite my tongue. I promised myself I would never walk into their trap again as I stepped away, but I obviously failed as I found myself back at their table that night, several months after our encounter at the wedding. What hurt me more was the fact that John and Mary were two of the people I had previously trusted and respected. I valued their opinion. We shared several meals and exciting adventures together. We had a good relationship for a few years. Please understand that I am in no way disparaging them. That is not my intention. I knew their misplaced reaction had more to do with their cultural background and age than their personalities. In their minds, they thought they could say whatever they wanted without being questioned. I do believe their intentions were good, only their methods were flawed. So when John confronted me at their table that night, I knew he thought he was doing me a favor. He probably believed he was trying to correct me and my errant ways, but nothing could be further from the truth. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, and I knew what my priorities were. I also knew that my heart was right before God. What John didn't know was that the time I spent online was nothing compared to the time I spent at church or in church activities. My online presence was intermittent. My online dating account was off for months at a time. I was too busy with church activities to even stay online for an hour. Unfortunately, people tend to draw their conclusions before verifying information they're given. John made his assumptions simply based on what his wife Mary had told him, the same person who knew nothing about what was really going on with my life. Mary often asked about my love life and hardly asked about my prayer life or walk with God. I often wondered why. I had no idea she was trying to prove her point to her husband. To think that we only chatted for 5 minutes every time she cornered me at church. I never understood how she came up with that bizarre conclusion. If I were desperate for a relationship, why did I recently break up with someone I met in person? Both John and Mary knew about that guy. Insulted? I flatly told John no, that he was wrong. John quickly realized the change in my tone. He knew that the conversation at his table was not going the way he expected it to. I told him bluntly that his thought process was flawed and that considering online dating a sin was unbiblical. I cited other couples from our church who met online and got married. John and Mary knew these couples and they both approved of them. Did a couple sin when they dated online? He knew he had gotten caught in his own trap, so he quickly denied it. He tried to deflect by saying he was just concerned that I was creating an online dating profile, as if it were a crime. John further stated that he wished I would find someone in person. I told him I agreed, but there was nothing wrong with finding someone online either. And if nothing was happening in person, was it wrong for me or the others to look online? John then bragged about couples who met in person at church and have since gotten engaged. I told him I was happy for them, but it didn't mean I wouldn't find someone great online either. I wasn't even impressed with the people whose love lives John was so proud of, but I didn't say anything. I knew that some people at church often brag about couples whose genuine characters. they seemingly kept seeing, only to find them unraveling later before their very eyes, and it was too late to rectify the situation. I thought it clearly demonstrated an astonishing lack of discernment in all parties involved. But I also knew if I said something, people like John and Mary would think I was out of line, or that I was simply jealous of the other couples. I left the couple's place with a bad taste in my mouth. The Bible does not even mention dating anywhere, so how did they arrive at the egregious conclusion that online dating was a sin? The Bible does provide us with clear guidelines on what to look for in a spouse. Clearly, God does not care about how or where we meet our spouse as long as it's not in some ungodly place like a bar, sorry. In contrast, God does care about one's character, in other words, the who. But the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, but man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. If people lack discernment, it is no wonder they are so easily deceived. If people don't hear from God, it is no wonder they easily fall prey to man's manipulative ways. I cannot and will never agree with John's or anyone's insinuation that online dating is a sin. Never. I knew where I stood. And if any pastor or preacher told you otherwise, I can assure you that they are profound lying. The Word of God is our ultimate guide. If what someone says is in the Bible or aligns with the Word of God, then you should believe it. But if it's not in the Bible or is the opposite of what the Word says, then take it with a grain of salt. Better yet, forget about it completely. It doesn't matter whether it's a well known pastor or an elder talking, they are not the authorities. God and His Word are. Be sure to always refer to the Bible before believing what you're told. Pray for discernment. Pray that the Lord will open your spiritual eyes and ears so no one can deceive you. It was painful to see my friendship with John and Mary decline, but I thought it was best for all of us. If I had tried to correct them, they would have taken it the wrong way. They were much older than I was, so I was sure they would not have taken it well. They did not deter me from reactivating my online dating profile, though. In fact, it only motivated me to prove them wrong. They also made me realize how totally out of sync we were in terms of online dating. I did not know it then, but I realized much later that there was a great need to address such misconceptions. This is also one of the things that prompted me to write this book. If some people at church consider online dating a sin, what hope is there for people inside a church who want to try it? What if they have not had any good experiences with in person dating? Are they supposed to conform to the norm that doesn't work and wait all their lives for possibly nothing? Or will they be forgiven and accepted like we do those who try traditional dating? To me, the question was never how. The real question was who. Who was I dating? What kind of man was I talking to? Is he a fellow believer? Is he a man or is he living an alternative lifestyle? Is he marriage material or is he the kind who can keep or maintain a relationship? Does he have a stable job or has he not held one in years? What is his character like? What is his prayer life like? Is he a member of a church or does he church hop? These are questions that really matter. How or where you meet a person is immaterial compared to what kind of man or woman you are dating or considering. That should be everyone's primary focus, especially yours. And with that, I'm gonna have to stop here because we're almost at 10 minutes. I just wanted to remind you that I am giving away 2 books. So if you're based in the US, um, comment and like this video so that you can be entered into the raffle draw. And I do pray that this book will be a blessing to you because it has really been a blessing to a number of people. And I hope that you would also um, find your true love this year because it's 2024. I don't know how old you are. I don't know how long you've been waiting, but just remember that God has not forgotten you. God knows the right time and the right place for you, so keep up the faith and don't give up. God sees you, God knows you. Just cry out to Him and be honest with Him, and He will hear.